The question that has been brought to the text is this: YHWH, you have said there is a season where the work of YHWH is meant to be held in sacred silence, not broadcast for human consumption. Shall I shut down my YouTube channel then? The lead verse drawn in answer is verse number 21,279 from Proverbs chapter 28, verse 12. When covenant-faithful people do rejoice, there is great glory, but when the covenant-wicked arise, a man disguises himself. When covenant-wicked conditions arise, the fitting response is concealment, to disguise rather than to make the work openly visible. Glory attends the rejoicing of the covenant-faithful, but disguise attends the arising of the covenant-wicked. The present season requires sacred silence and concealment, not open proclamation. The draw of verses brings forward testimony concerning appointed seasons for the temple work, priesthood service, and covenant faithfulness, with warnings against desecration and common access to holy things. Verse number 17651 from Haggai chapter 2 verse 18 says, "Consider now from this day forward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of YHWH's temple was laid, consider." The foundation has been laid, and this day is to be considered with care. Verse number 6118 from Numbers chapter 29 verses 12 and 13 speaks of the 15th day of the 7th month, when there shall be a sacred assembly, with no labor or business done, and a festival gathering, to YHWH celebrated for 7 days, with whole consecrated burnt offerings, a fire priestly offering of a tranquilizing aroma to YHWH. In this season common labor ceases, and the sacred assembly takes precedence. Verse number 11889 from 2 Kings chapter 11 verse 4 records that in the 7th year Jehoiada sent and gathered the rulers over hundreds with the captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the temple of YHWH. The gathering of the leaders is into the temple at the appointed time for the service in sacred order. The priesthood and consecration threads show that the work is inner consecrated blood sprinkled and guarded against common or polluting approach. Verse number 25212 from 1 Chronicles chapter 28 verse 21 affirms that the courses of the priests and the Levites, even they will be with you for all the service of the temple of Elohim. Verse number 33382 from Hebrews chapter 9 verse 21 records that he ritually sprinkled with blood both the priestly tabernacle and all the vessels of the service. Verse number 5766 from Numbers chapter 18 verse 22 warns that neither must the children of Israel come near the priestly tabernacle at the appointed place unless they bear covenant violation and die. Verse number 5309 from Numbers chapter 4 verse 20 adds that they will not enter to see when the holy things are covered unless they die. Holy things that are covered are not for public viewing or common approach on pain of death. Verse number 16623 from Ezekiel chapter 44 verses 6 and 7 addresses the house of Israel, saying, "Let it suffice you of all your abominations in that you have brought in the sons of the foreigner uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sacred place, to pollute it, even my house, when you offer my bread the fat and the blood, and they have broken my covenant pledge because of all your abominations." The house is not to be polluted by what is brought into the sacred place from outside the covenant. The identity and calling of the covenant faithful are brought forward. Verse number 13716 from Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 speaks of appointing to them that mourn in Zion, to give to them beauty for ashes, the oil of sacred joy, for mourning the mantle of praise, for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called pillars of covenant faithfulness, the planting place of YHWH, that he might be glorified. The covenant faithful are called to stand as these pillars for the glory of YHWH. Verse number 21072 from Proverbs chapter 21 verse 18 states that the covenant wicked will be a ransom for the covenant faithful, and the transgressor for the upright. Verse number 14819 from Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 21 raises the question whether my covenant may also be broken with David my slave, so that he should not have a son to reign on his throne, and with the Levites the priests my ministers. The covenant with David and the Levitical priests stands or falls together. Verse number 32292 from 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 32 declares that the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Verse number 20149 from Psalms chapter 120 verse 2 is a prayer: "Deliver me, O YHWH, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue." Verse number 32076 from 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 24 instructs each in what he was called brethren in this, let him remain with Elohim. Each one is to remain in the calling assigned under Elohim. Verse number 26471 from Matthew chapter 10 verse 30 reminds us that the very hairs of your head are all numbered. All is under precise divine numbering, even to the hairs of the head. The mathematical verdict of the guided draw aligns with and confirms this textual direction. The probability of yes reaches 97.5%, while the probability of no stands at 2.3%, and the probability of unresolved adds 0.2%. The deterministic inquiry through DT3 reaches 972.2% net relevance increase at 6.23 sigma, discovery, level convergence of identity, inheritance, and priesthood. The predictive balance index is leaning yes at positive 1.441. The global discovery index registers extreme anomaly, with Fisher chi-squared at 93.24 and p-value at 4.17 times 10 to the minus 10. The confirmatory convergence index has threshold crossed at 88% across all 6 channels. The claim classification is strong anomaly with all gates passed. The surface text read in the order of the draw, therefore, declares an appointed season for the temple of Elohim in which the foundation has been laid and is to be considered with care. Sacred assemblies are held with no common labor and with consecrated offerings presented. Priests and Levites serve in the courses appointed for the tabernacle. The covenant faithful are called to stand as pillars of covenant faithfulness, that YHWH might be glorified through them. In this same season, when the covenant wicked arise, a man disguises himself, as the lead verse from Proverbs declares. Holy things covered are not to be viewed by common approach on pain of death. The house of YHWH is not to be polluted by what is brought into the sacred place from outside the covenant boundaries. The spirits of the prophets remain subject to the prophets. Each one is to remain in the calling assigned with Elohim under the numbering of every hair on the head. Deliverance is sought from lying lips and a deceitful tongue. The covenant with the Levitical priests stands as part of the larger covenant faithfulness. Therefore, the answer to the question brought to the text is affirmative. This is the season in which the work of YHWH is to be held in sacred silence, not made common or proclaimed openly for human consumption. Cease the public broadcasting through the YouTube channel for this appointed season. Disguise and conceal the work as the text directs. Remain in the calling with Elohim until the season shifts and the time for open rejoicing and proclamation returns. The Father has spoken through both the surface text of the drawn verses and the strong anomaly of the mathematical convergence. The work is to be held in sacred silence for now. The verses drawn in this Shield 17.9 session were number 21279, Proverbs 28 verse 12, number 29165, John 2 verse 20, number 11889, 2 Kings 11 verse 4, number 30730, Acts 20 verse 15, number 31629, Romans 7 verse 7, number 12753, Isaiah 19 verse 24. This concludes today's interpretation under the Shield Protocol.